Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, we are today hearing from Canto 3, chapter 25, verse number 27. Is that right?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay, so this verse says, thus by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. Purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. When one engages in devotional service to the Lord in the 9 different kinds of bhakti yoga, as enunciated in authoritative scriptures, such as hearing, Shravana, chanting, Kirtana, remembering, offering worship, praying, and offering personal service, either in one of them, or 2 or 3, or all of them, he naturally has no opportunity to engage in the service of the 3 modes of material nature. Unless one has good engagements in spiritual service, it is not possible to get out of the attachment to material service. Those who are not devotees, therefore, are interested in so-called humanitarian or philanthropic work, such as opening a hospital or a charitable institution. These are undoubtedly good works in the sense that they are pious activities, and the result is that the performer may get some opportunities for sense gratification, either in this life or in the next. Devotional service, however, is beyond the boundary of sense gratification. It is completely spiritual activity. When one engages in the spiritual activities of devotional service, naturally, he does not get any opportunity to engage in sense gratificatory activities. Krishna conscious activities are performed not blindly, but with perfect understanding of knowledge and renunciation. This kind of yoga practice, in which the mind is always fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion, results in liberation in this very life. The person who performs such acts in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. No, I'm sorry. The person who performs such acts gets in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya, therefore, approved the process of hearing from realized devotees about the pastimes of the Lord. It does not matter to what category of this world the audience belongs. If one meekly and submissively hears about the activities of the Lord from a realized soul, he will be able to conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unconquerable by any other process. Hearing or associating with devotees is the most important function for self-realization. Jai Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Haribol, Haribol, Haribol. So this verse, Canto 3, chapter 25, verse number 26. And it says, I'm sorry, what? I'm sorry. Yes, 27. It says, Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge and renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. Haribol. Okay, so uh, this is uh, also explaining the process of Krishna consciousness by which one can become uh, 24 hours a day engaged in the service of the Lord. So we have to give up uh, uh, in service in the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance, and come to the transcendental state of Sudasattva. Sudasattva means transcendental to the modes of material nature. And in that state, you're engaging in pure devotional service. Uh, so, what are the modes of material nature? Goodness, passion, and ignorance. And what is the transcendental state? It is Sudasattva, transcendental to mundane goodness, passion, and ignorance, and engaging in pure devotional service, where there is no desire for any material benefits from engaging in service. One is focused completely on offering everything to Krishna with love and devotion and not expecting anything in return. It's not a business, let's say, give and take situation. One completely surrenders to the Lord and is completely satisfied by serving the Lord with love and devotion. There's no uh, there's no bickering for, well, if I do this for you, you give me back something else. You give me something else. No. One gives everything to Krishna and is satisfied by seeing Krishna being pleased. That is their that is the real satisfaction for a devotee. Okay, so then it says here, when one engages in devotional service to the Lord in the 9 different kinds of bhakti yoga, as enunciated in authoritative scriptures, such as hearing, shravanam, chanting, kirtanam, and then remembering, offering worship, praying, and offering personal service, etc. Either in one of them, or 2 or 3, or all of them, he naturally has no opportunity to engage in the service of the 3 modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. So this is what we call the process of Krishna consciousness. To elevate a candidate from mundane life to transcendental life. And it's possible. In fact, it works. Prabhupada demonstrated that it works by making so many devotees and keeping them engaged in devotional service. And they're still engaged today, devotional service. So it's not an impossible thing in Kali Yuga to become a pure devotee and engage 24 hours a day in devotional service. And it's very direct and simple. Simply chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, eat only prasadam, associate with devotees in a positive way by hearing and chanting lectures, going on Sankirtan, and so forth. And especially the regular hearing, at least twice a day, morning and evening, the Bhagavad Gita or Srimad Bhagavatam. This regular hearing is most important. Why? Our disease is regularly forgetting. So we need to be regularly hearing and remembering. If we go with long periods of not hearing and remembering, we lose the enthusiasm for Krishna consciousness. But if we hear every day, like at least twice a day, uh, lectures given by devotees, and also if we read ourselves, uh, then we become enthusiastic because every day we're going to be learning something new and we'll be associating with transcendental knowledge rather than just mundane knowledge. Of course, uh, so many people are hearing mundane things in the world and engaging in mundane activities. So, to offset that, to at least have a couple of hours every day of pure Krishna consciousness is very important. Otherwise, if we go day by day, month by month, just hearing mundane things, it contaminates our mind and contaminates our goal in life. Our goal in life should not be to make hundreds and thousands and millions of dollars. Our goal in life should be to do uh, hundreds and thousands and millions of services for pleasing Radha and Krishna. That should be our goal. And it's not difficult to do that. And if we do that, then Krishna takes care of everything else in our life. We should have that faith. If without that faith, we are going to have doubts. Doubts are demons. Doubts are demons. And the way people try and uh, derail someone from being serious about Krishna consciousness is by putting doubts in their minds. There's this one devotee, uh, his name was Murli. He was a big black devotee, was not very well educated, but he became a devotee. And he was doing good service in the temple. This is a long, long time ago. And all of a sudden he disappeared. So, uh, some months went by, and one day I saw him early uh, in I think it was downtown Seattle or something. And I said, Murley, is that you? He said, oh yeah, yeah. How you doing, man? I said, oh, okay, I'm doing. How are you doing? He said, no, I'm not doing very well. I said, what happened? Why did you leave? He said, oh, I met this one man, and he told me I was worshiping the devil. I said, what do you mean worshiping the devil? No, he told me that I had to throw away my bead bag because I was worshiping the devil. So I told him, look, Marley, your beads, that's your connection to Krishna. Oh, I think you're right. I made a big mistake. And look, Marley, you got to start chanting again. So I don't know, maybe I try. I don't know. I'm not sure. Ah, see, he had doubts. Doubts are demons. Doubts are demons. When you have doubts about Krishna consciousness, that means you've been attacked by demons. On the other hand, this man that uh, put doubts in Murley's mind, uh, he told him that he should immediately throw away his beads because the beads were demons. There's so many crazy people in this world. And poor Murley, he got scared and he threw his bead bag into a garbage can, and stopped chanting. So when I did meet him, this is months after he left, he was in real bad shape. He went back to what he was before, and it was really sad. I told him, look, Murli, you got to start coming back to the temple. I said, I'll try. I don't know. And he gave a lot of the excuses. But anyway, I never saw Murli again. And it's a shame because he was a nice person. He didn't have much education. But when he was engaging in devotional service, he was doing well. He was doing very well. When I saw him, he was back to what he was before. He was basically a hobo, a sleeping in the street, and very bad condition. So the person who convinced him that the beads were the devil and he had to throw them away, the person that did that is the devil. But Murli was not intelligent enough to understand. So he went back to being what he was before, unfortunately. There were actually two black men that were becoming devotees. But sometimes they would start talking, the black jargon, the black way of communicating, and it was like a complete different language, right? And they could understand each other, but if you heard them, you wouldn't be able to really understand what they're saying. And eventually, they both fell down, unfortunately. Why? Because they started to associate or act as they did before as karmis and use their jargon, their own, sort of black street talk, and they fell down. So we have to be very careful about what we hear and what we say. If we hear only Krishna conscious things and we speak only Krishna conscious things, we will be immune. We'll be immune to all types of nonsense. But if we hear and speak nonsense things, we're going to fall down from the position of Krishna consciousness. Okay, so we're on page, and we're on verse 27, right? Yeah. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, but by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge in renunciation, and by practicing yoga, in which the mind is always fixed in devotional service unto the Supreme Personality of Godhead, one achieves my association in this very life, for I am the Supreme Personality, the Absolute Truth. Well, we should take this statement very seriously by Krishna. This engaging in the service, by developing Krishna consciousness, knowledge in renunciation. Okay, well, what are we renouncing? We're renouncing all mundane activities and thoughts, meat eating, gambling, etc., and all mundane thoughts and speaking mundane things. So simply by chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. That gives us the strength to give up hearing mundane things and keeping our mind focused on Krishna. So this Hare Krishna Maha Mantra can be chanted all day long. Of course, you have to pay attention, and if you can wake up early in the morning and finish all your rounds before Mangal Arti, then you continue chanting throughout the day, but you have done the minimum requirement. But if you get up late and try to chant your rounds, but then you have to go to work or you have to do some homework or you have to go to school, it's very difficult to finish your rounds during the day. So this early to bed, early to wise makes a devotee healthy, happy, and wise. Poetry. Early to bed, early to rise makes a devotee happy, healthy, and wise. So we should become healthy, happy, and wise. Okay, so there are 9 different kinds of bhakti yoga, and the first 2 are the most important. Shravanam, kirtanam, hearing and repeating. So that is the best way to learn. You hear and you repeat. This is the traditional way of learning. In other words, you repeatedly hear spiritual knowledge, and you repeat it repeatedly, and you repeat it uh, over and over again until you've memorized it. So there's certain things that we should do. Well, first of all, there's one thing that we do every day is we chant minimum 16 rounds a day. That means when you chant out loud, now you're hearing and repeating. Uh, but this silent chanting should be given up because it's not proper. Because you're not hearing when you silently chant. So you have to have uh, like a closed arc. You Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So you're chanting and you're hearing at the same time. But if you silently chant, you're not really hearing. So that should be stopped. I mean, I see too many devotees that do that. They chant silently. So you don't even know if they're chanting. And how can you really focus on Krishna if you're silently chanting, right? So the proof that someone has become a, let's say, more advanced devotee is that they never silently chant. They always chant out loudly. Why? Because they're merciful. They want other people also to hear the holy name. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare. If you chant silently, well, what do they hear? Nothing. You know, what do you don't give anybody else a chance to also hear. And sometimes people say, sometimes you might be in a bus and you're going, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Somebody next to you might say, what are you saying? What? Oh, I'm praying. Oh, you're praying. Oh, what is your prayer? It's called the Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Oh, I've heard about the Krishnas. Uh, and how's that go? And you say, well, just repeat. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, what does it mean? So now you see, this is called bus kirtan. Okay, so you don't chant real loudly. That might disturb people, but you chant enough that someone near you can hear it, right? And they might become, interested. What is this? It might be something I might like to do. So we should always give people a chance to become Krishna conscious. Always give them a chance to become Krishna conscious. And whenever we go out, we should always have prasadam, like goodness cookies or something like that. So you never know who you're going to meet. And if you have some prasadam with you, then at least you can give them the prasadam and they can hear you chant Hare Krishna. Right? Radhika Gopinath's really good at it. He says, Okay, now repeat after me. People are a little bit shocked. They say, okay, what do I do? Hare Krishna, 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 Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. He gets them to chant Hare Krishna.
You have to adopt it. Repeat after
A
me.
good technique. Yeah.
You're not giving enough time like for other
Now
people.
they don't think you catch them, off guard. And that way they say Hare Krishna at least once in their life. That's good. Okay. Thus, by not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature, what are the modes? Goodness and passion and ignorance. So, what does it mean by modes? It is a a state of consciousness. So there's a mode of goodness, there's a mode of passion, there's a mode of ignorance. So when you're sleeping at night, you're in the mode of ignorance. When you wake up, you get into the mode of passion. Got to do things. Got to wake up. Got to take a shower. You got to do this. Got to go to work. It's a mode of passion. And during the day, if you start chanting Hare Krishna, now you're in the mode of goodness. Let's see. So the modes are fluctuating always, or you're experiencing this fluctuation of modes. Uh, so therefore, if a devotee becomes very regulated in their eating, sleeping, and so forth, they become gradually they overcome the negative effects of the modes of material nature. But that's because of their regulated lifestyle. By doing the same thing every day at the same time, waking up early, taking a bath, chanting Hare Krishna, and so forth, very early in the morning, and then getting ready to go to work or go to school or whatever. Now they've got their inoculation against Maya. So we should get this inoculation every day, waking up early, chanting our rounds, and having a shower or whatever, and then chanting our rounds, and then now we're ready to face the world. But if you don't do that, then you're not armed against Maya. Uh, you sort of develop this what you would call uh, immunity from being attacked by Maya by getting up early, bathing, and then chanting your rounds. So that way, it's just like a duck. Water doesn't really affect a duck, right? Because of the way they have their feathers. So as soon as rainwater falls on their body, it just goes away. It doesn't penetrate into their body. So that should be our way also to develop this immunity from Maya by being very regulated in Krishna consciousness. Then we become excited and full of energy for chanting and dancing and preaching and so forth. But if we become lethargic, look that word up, very good word, lethargic. Basically, you know what that means, lethargic? Huh?
Lazy.
Affected,
Lazy.
sluggish, and apathetic.
Apathetic, meaning you're not really interested in anything. Yeah. It basically means you become very not interested in anything positive, just lethargic, you're lazy.
Lack of energy and enthusiasm.
Yeah. Yeah.
Energy.
Yeah. There's too many people that are lethargic in this world, they're not. And so many years go by and all the plans that they have, they never really are able to, bring their plans to fruition. So they want to be this, they want to be that, but they never really get it to its end where you actually become an expert in something. So if we do become expert in something, uh, especially chanting our rounds every day, then we're able to become expert in many other things. But if you're not expert in one thing, then it's difficult to become expert in other things. So the number one thing we should be expert in is chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. And of course, practice makes perfect. So we should chant every day Hare Krishna Maha Mantra at least 16 rounds a day. That way, once you're expert in one thing, then you use that same determination to become expert in other things. But the best thing to be expert in is chanting Hare Krishna. Why? Well, let's say you're expert in, let's say, playing a musical instrument. Will that liberate you at the moment of death? No. Right? So we should be expert in something that's going to liberate you at the moment of death. Then you can become expert in other things also. But the main thing is we should be thinking, well, I could actually die at any time. I could have an accident, I could have a heart attack, and so forth. Somebody might hit me over the head and rob me, and then I can get a concussion. There's so many things that can go wrong. So if we are expert in chanting Hare Krishna, then we are prepared for all situations. But if we're expert, let's say, in eating or sleeping, that doesn't really help us to achieve the purpose of life. Therefore, we should become expert in chanting Hare Krishna. That means that we can achieve the real purpose of life, which is going back to Godhead. Why should we stay life after life in the material world and without knowing what our next body is going to be? Our next body could be a dog or a cat. And sometimes people say, "What's wrong with being a dog? I don't mind becoming a dog." And one time someone said that to Prabhupada in a class, and Prabhupada said, "Well, I bless you to become a dog." And everyone got shocked. Oh no, this person's going to become a dog now. Yeah, some idiot, said, "Oh, I don't mind becoming a dog." Well, you don't know what a dog's life is like. A dog's life is miserable. Uh, so we need to become serious about chanting. If we become serious about chanting, then we can become serious about Krishna consciousness. Okay? But if we don't become serious about chanting, then it's hard to become Krishna conscious. I mean, we'll be able to do some things, but we won't be regulated. What the chanting 16 rounds every day does is get you regulated to do spiritual things. We don't want to be regulated just to do mundane things every day. We should be regulated also to do something spiritual every day. So that regulation in chanting Hare Krishna gives us the opportunity to be regulated for doing other spiritual things during the day. So that's what we learn in Krishna consciousness. If you can chant 16 rounds every day, then you can also do your homework every day. You can also achieve different things that not little things, but things that you want to achieve. You can get them achieved also because you've learned to be regulated. That's the good thing about chanting Hare Krishna. It teaches you to be very regulated. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. By that regulation of chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, it helps you to be regulated in many other things also. But the main thing is to have this mantra in your mind all day long, not be separated from the mantra, because the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra puts you directly in contact with Krishna. That's the beauty of it. Okay, so this verse today, text 27, chapter 3, Canto 3, chapter 25. It said, when one engages in devotional service to the Lord in the 9 different kinds of bhakti yoga, as enunciated in authoritative scriptures, such as hearing, shravanam, and chanting, kirtanam, and remembering and offering worship and praying and offering personal service, either in one of them or 2 or 3 or all of them, he naturally has no opportunity to engage in the service of the 3 modes of material nature. So, by practicing Krishna consciousness seriously, we become transcendental to the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. Now we're on the level of Krishna. So to understand Krishna, you have to come to the level of Krishna. And what is Krishna's level? He's transcendental to the modes of material nature. And we can also become transcendental to the modes of material nature, goodness, passion, and ignorance. And the modes are always fluctuating. So when you're sleeping, you're in the mode of ignorance. When you wake up, you get in the mode of passion. Maybe in the afternoon, now you're in the mode of mixed passion and goodness. And then again, you get into the mode of ignorance and go to sleep. So it's always fluctuating during the day, the influence of the modes. But if you get into the habit of chanting Hare Krishna, then you come to the point where you transcend the influence of the modes of material nature. So that's the level that we should be living on, transcendental to the modes of material nature by chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra and having it in our mind all day long. So, when someone calls me up, I say, Hare Krishna. They say, what? Hare Krishna. Oh, what does that mean? I tell them. So that should be our hello and goodbye. Hello should be Hare Krishna, and goodbye should be Hare Krishna. Yeah. And in the middle, it should also be Hare Krishna. Yeah. And actually, it's a good thing. In fact, amongst some Vaishnavas, when they would, this is explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, when the devotees would get together to have prasadam, every time they would put a morsel of food in their mouth, they would say Hare Krishna. So if you walk into the place where they're taking prasadam, it's like one guy saying Hare Krishna, and the other person saying Hare Krishna. So they're eating and they're also saying Hare Krishna. So it's a very nice experience. You enter the place where everyone is taking prasadam or respecting prasadam, and they're also chanting Hare Krishna. One time, long time ago, there was a people were devotees were a little very sentimental, so they would they would say that so and so is a pure devotee. So when then we would sit down for having prasadam, they'd start passing the plate of the so-called devotee that was a pure devotee, right? So it would start going, around like this, and and then someone would go like this, hit you with their arm and say, "Hey, you know, I said, what is it?" I said, "Take this. This is prashadam from a pure devotee." I said, "Oh, really? Okay." You know, so this plate would be going around to everyone. I got sick and tired of this, because so I started passing my plate around. And I go like, "Hey, so what is it? This is pure devotee." That is a crazy thing, Sometimes devotees develop these crazy ideas. So uh, only devotees can do things. So yeah, maybe somebody is a pure devotee, but you don't have to pass this food around all the time. Okay, so are there any questions? This,
There, like Maharaj,
yeah.
is there such a thing as a pure devotee and like to pass? Is there some science behind that or how do you
Well,
use
yeah,
it?
they're like, if it was Prabhupada's prasadam, the, that would be a pure devotee, and getting a chance to taste the prasadam of a pure devotee is very exceptional. And devotees were always anxious if they can have a morsel of uh, food that Prabhupada was eating, or left in his plate or something like that. Uh, but you got to be careful about it because someone can just claim that they're a pure devotee, right? So yeah, when they used to do that, they would pass the plate around, hey, give you a nudge like that. And you say, what is this? So it's the shot from a pure devotee. So then, so then I started doing that. I said, hey, this, what is it? I'm a pure devotee here. Take some of my prasada. So the whole thing became a joke after that. They stopped doing it. Otherwise, you're going to have like 10 different plates going around. Yeah, I mean, devotees are amazing. They come up with these aberrations that are just unbelievable. Okay, so therefore, Shravanam Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam. We should always be engaging in Shravanam, hearing, and Kirtanam, repeating. That's the way you learn. You learn by regularly hearing and repeating. And that, by the way, that's the way Muslims learn. They they teach their kids to hear and repeat and thus memorize. And it's a good system. And that's our system also. It's hearing and repeating. And then you remember. So repetition is very important in Krishna consciousness. If someone says, "Well, I'm not so interested in going to class," it's always the same thing, chant Hare Krishna. Well, wait a minute. That's that's the most important thing. And our disease is we forget. So therefore, this hearing and repeating is very important. We should do it every day. Hearing uh, genuine devotees speaking and repeating what they say. Uh, and as long as you're repeating something that's shastrically bona fide, you're making spiritual advancement. So repetition is a very important principle in Krishna consciousness. There's nothing wrong with repeating things. That means that you're remembering, you've memorized it. Right? So we should always be engaged in hearing and chanting. Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu. Huh? Yes. And Smaranam, hearing and repeating and always remembering. Yes. Haribol. Okay, so are there any questions anyone would like to ask?
Question.
Yes. Yes.
Doubts are demons.
Yes.
Like, to understand that, is it also like you shouldn't ask questions? Or
Well, when you have a doubt, you can ask a question. Yeah. But if you just have doubts, then they become demons.
so like, if we have doubts, we should ask.
Yeah, definitely. If you keep a doubt in your mind, then those doubts become demons. They'll stop you from being Krishna conscious. So you should never be afraid to ask questions. And the whole Bhagavad Gita is questions and answers, right? Arjuna has so many questions, and he's asking Krishna, and Krishna is answering them. So that's the way you learn. You learn by asking questions. If you stay silent, what are you going to learn? You're not going to learn anything. There are many things that we don't know, and we should be inquisitive to learn. We should be, enthusiastic to learn. And the way you learn is by asking questions. If everyone remains silent, like just often I say, are there any questions? Complete silence. That means that people weren't listening properly. There should always be questions. I could make a mistake, or I could say something and people don't understand it. There should always be questions, and then there's questions, and then there's answers, and then there's some discussion, and now you'll be able to remember something, right? But if you just sit there and not say anything and not ask any questions, then when you walk away with nothing. You can't remember anything. Like one time I asked someone, well, how was the class? He said, oh, it was great. And I said, what was it about? Oh, it's a wonderful subject. He said, well, what was one thing that you remember? I remembered it was great. That means he doesn't remember anything. So we should have at least one thing that we learn in a class. Right? And that way in 365, what is it, days in a year, well, if you know 365 things about Krishna, you already became a pundit. So if you learn one thing every day, all year round, in 1 year, you'll become a great devotee. Yes, Prabhu.
Maharaj. In this verse, it says, not engage in the service of the modes of material nature. And we also learned that there's the verse in the Bhagavad Gita, Prakrute Vimanani Gunai Karmani Sarvata, where it says all our actions are done by the modes of material nature. And how do we know that we are not engaging in the service of the modes of material nature? Because in Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that all our actions are done by the modes of material nature.
No, well, you have to become transcendental to the modes of material nature.
How do we differentiate our actions not by the modes of material nature?
Well, number one is you're not getting any argument with your wife. That means you're translated. You become transcendental.
First litmus.
If you don't get into any arguments with your wife, you already become a transcendental person. It means that you're not disturbed by anything. Obviously, if someone insults Prabhupada or Krishna, you have to get involved. Stop that person from talking nonsense. But in general, the more you're able to keep your, let's say, equilibrium, not be disturbed by things, that means that you have a spiritual grounding, that you're not being disturbed, but you're regulated in hearing and chanting all the time. That's why you're not disturbed, because you're hearing and repeating transcendental things. If you hear and repeat nonsense things all day long, then you're going to get disturbed, right? Because you won't have control of your mind and your senses. But if you hear and repeat very regularly every day Shastric truths, then you can control your mind, you can control your anger, you can control sleep, you can control everything in your life by that hearing and chanting. That's why, every day we should chant our rounds. And if you go day by day, not chanting your rounds or just chanting fewer rounds than recommended, you become dull. And you don't feel good also, right? And then it becomes a habit. And then now it's almost impossible for you to chant 16 rounds. But if you're regulated in Krishna consciousness, then you feel energized, you feel happy, and you feel like I want to learn something new every day. I want to have a thought for the day. Right? A thought for a day. Well, if you live to be 100 years old, that's a lot of thoughts, a lot of things that you learn. Right? So we don't want to be same old, same old. That means repeating the same thing. It becomes hackneyed. Look that word up, hackneyed. Good word.
Overuse.
Huh?
Overuse.
Yeah, yeah. It's the same thing all the time, right?
Yeah.
But sometimes, people say, well, I get bored reading Prabhupada's books because it's the same thing all the time. It's not true. That means that they're not really reading and paying attention to what's being said.
Yeah.
Every one of the purports has something new, and there's repetition also, because repetition is very important, right? But there's always something new. Like today, let's see what is new here. Unless one has good engagements in spiritual service, it is not possible to get out of the attachment to material service. Those who are not devotees, therefore, are interested in so-called humanitarian or philanthropic work, such as opening hospitals or charitable institutions. These are undoubtedly good works in the sense that they are pious activities, and their result is that the performer may get some opportunity for doesn't check very well for gratification, either in this life or the next. Devotional service, however, is beyond the boundary of sense gratification. It is completely spiritual activity. When one engages in the spiritual activities of devotional service, naturally he does not get any opportunity to engage in sense gratificatory activities. Krishna consciousness activities are performed not blindly, but with perfect understanding of knowledge and renunciation. This kind of yoga practice, in which the mind is always fixed upon the Supreme Personality of Godhead in devotion, results in liberation in this very life. And this is huge statements that he's making here. Huge statements. We should take them very seriously. The person who performs such acts gets in touch with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Chaitanya therefore approved the process of hearing from realized devotees. about the pastimes of the Lord. It does not matter to what category, it does not matter to what category of this world the audience belongs. It means it doesn't matter what your background is. If one meekly and submissively hears about the activities of the Lord from a realized soul, he will be able to conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Whoa, conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead? What an amazing statement and what an amazing achievement if you can conquer the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is unconquerable by any other process. Hearing or associating with devotees is the most important function for self-realization. So this is our takeaway for today. Hearing or associating with devotees is the most important function for self-realization. Hare Krishna, Hare
Krishna,
Krishna, Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So this is our culture. Yes.
Maharaj, follow up to the previous question. We can differentiate mode of passion, mode of ignorance. How do we, like, what are some of the examples of not serving mode of goodness?
Not serving,
Yeah,
not serving.
not serving
Mode
mode
of
of
goodness.
goodness.
Yeah. You're not happy. When you're not serving the mode of goodness, you're not happy.
Maharaj, here the verse says we should not even serve the mode of goodness.
What's that?
We should not serve the mode of goodness.
Who said that?
In the world,
Basically, all three modes we want to.
yeah, Atevaya, Prakriti Gunanam. So we don't want to serve three gunas that are born of
Yeah.
material nature.
Yeah, but you want to serve the transcendental mode of goodness.
What are the some of the examples that even entangles in the mode of goodness, Maharaj?
Are you asking the difference between mode of goodness and mode of transcendental
No.
goodness? No.
No. What are some of the activities, examples that we can think of? That
Of
are,
mundane goodness?
Yeah,
yeah, mundane goodness.
Okay.
like that.
Well, that is, only being interested in taking care of your family. So you're doing a good thing, but it's mundane. It's not spiritual. Right.
Even the so-called charitable activities by the
Yeah.
society people, humanitarian grounds is also.
Most of the organizations, Maharaj, they involve in these
Yeah.
charity work, like do good to others and
Yeah. Well, you could, okay. You could say that going out with the food truck and feeding, we don't just feed the poor, we feed everybody, but you could say that is mundane service. Now, is it actually mundane service? Well, it can be if you're just interested in serving food, but we're serving prasadam. That's the difference. Right? You got to be sure that it's prasadam, that the food has been offered to Krishna, and then he offers it back as his prasadam. So you should make sure that that's a fact. Now you're doing something transcendental. Just as serving food is not going to help anybody. And because when it's prasadam, a person has a chance to make spiritual advancement. If it's just food, well, that takes care of him for one day. You know. So we have to know the difference between just distributing food and distributing prasadam. Right? We have to make sure it's prasadam. We have to make sure that it's actually been offered by the pujari to the deities. Sometimes they'll offer only the food that was cooked for the deities, and they don't offer what's being distributed. So you have to make sure that everything is being offered to the deities.
Whereas they offer in the kitchen, right? There is some small pictures of the deities, even they offer there. The food truck.
Yeah, and then
Well, they offer though. That's the point. Yeah.
So that's what you're saying, right? If you just do a food truck and don't take prasadam, then there is more of goodness.
Basically, we are offering food truck prasadam to the Radhanila Madhav picture that is in the kitchen.
All right, fine. If it's not offered, that's the problem.
Yeah.
Maharaj also even the other temples where the food is offered to, let's say, Sai Baba, they
Yeah.
also call it prasadam and distribute. That's not considered mode of that is
It's a
actually
mode of ignorance. That's
mundane mode of
no, it's a mode of ignorance. Let you die. I call him sly. Uh, anyway, well, which one? There's several Sai Babas, right? Not just one. There's different Sai Babas.
Okay, nowadays, any food is offered to even demigods, they call prasadam and distribute it.
Even Ganesh Puja, any puja, they say that's prasadam.
Well, everything that shines is not gold. And everything that's claimed to be prasadam, there's a good chance that it's not. So
Right.
we have to.
One question, Maharaj.
Yeah.
Why Kapila Muni's preaching is called Sankhya Yoga?
Yeah.
When everything is purely devotional, there's no difference between Bhakti Yoga and what he's describing. So why is it even called Sankhya Yoga? And it is based on this.
Well, you should also say, why are there two Kapilas? One is materialistic Kapila, and the other is the real Kapila. Well, it's because Sankhya Yoga, Sankhya, what does it mean exactly? It means you quantify things, you count things. So the false Sankhya is concerned only with 24 things. And those 24 things are material things. And the spiritual Sankhya Yoga is they're concerned with 25 and 26 things. 25 is the pure devotee, and 26th thing is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So most people are just concerned with 24 things, the 24 elements of material nature. Devotees are concerned with 25 and 26. That is devotees and then Krishna. So when you're distributing prasadam, you're not just distributing the 24 elements, but you're also engaged with the 25th and 26th things. 25 things are devotees, and 26th thing is Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So simply distributing food, there's a little benefit there, but it's mundane benefit. In other words, it doesn't last forever. But if you distribute genuine prasadam and you distribute it with love and devotion, it becomes an eternal thing, an eternal benefit for the person. So there are a lot of people out there just distributing food, right? So that's a mundane thing. Doesn't have eternality related to it. It's a one-time thing, and then it has to be repeated over and over again. But if a person gets prasadam even once in their life, they're guaranteed at least a human birth, their next birth, right? So now we're dealing with something that is not mundane, it's transcendental. If the food has been offered properly to Krishna, and then Krishna offers it back as his prasadam, now you're dealing with something that's supernatural. But if you're just distributing food, it's mundane. Okay? You have to be careful and make sure that the pujaris are actually offering the food, to Krishna. Sometimes they say, well, we only offer the Mahaprasadam. What does that mean? We only offer the Mahaprasadam. That means that they don't consider the rest of the food as being offered. Only the Mahaprasadam is being offered. And that's not good. So then you'll go on Sankirtan and distribute food, and it's not actually prasadam. So you have to make sure that everything is offered to the Lord. Yeah. Anything that shines is not gold, right?
If somebody gives prasadam offered to demigods,
Yeah,
let's say we go to some friend's house or some
yeah,
family, and then they say, oh, this is also prasadam we offered,
yeah.
but it's offered to demigods or some Sai Baba. What do we say, Maharaj? If we take it or
Well, see, they haven't offered it properly. What they should do is offer it first to Krishna, and then they can offer it to the demigods or to Sai Baba. But if they just offer it to Sai Baba or to demigods, then you cannot take it.
so, but if we say we don't take it, they'll get offended.
No, you have to explain to them why you don't take it. You have to do it in a nice way, But they have to understand that there is a proper way and an improper way. And everything, there's a correct way and an incorrect way. Now, they might not like you educating them. Therefore, when you know the person is like that, but still for some reason or other you have to go to their program, then you bring your prasadam with you. So when it's time for prasadam, you already have your plate there. And they'll say, well, why did you bring it? Well, I have a special diet. I have to be careful what I eat. I'll say, oh, really? Are you sick? Well, let's put it like this. If I just eat anything, I might get sick. Yeah. So what did you want to say, Prabhu?
One more thing, yeah, noticing experience, even my parents also, they are afraid of demigods. If they don't do something,
Yeah.
demigods punish them. But it is true, right, Guru Maharaj, the demigods do punish, but as long as you're very sincere to Krishna, Krishna will protect. Just like the Indra comes and punishes the Gopalas, or the Brahman comes and punishes the cows, some like taking away the cows. So the demigods do come and punish us, but we have to be more tolerant.
No, but look, it's very easy to satisfy the demigods. If you serve prasadam to the demigods, prasadam food that's been offered to Krishna, to the demigods, they're satisfied.
But there will be cases like Indra coming and punishing the devotees also.
Krishna will protect. Yeah.
No, but look, you offer the food to Krishna, right? And then you can offer it to the demigods. Now the demigods are really satisfied. You just offer it to the demigods, they're not satisfied because what they want is real Krishna prasadam, right? Because they're demigods, they're devotees of the Lord. So if you just serve the food to the demigods, that's actually a mistake. You should first serve it to Krishna and then serve it to the demigods. Now they'll be really happy. Now they're getting prasad.
The worry is some demigods do get upset.
Not if you give them Krishna prasadam. They won't be upset. They might be upset that you didn't give them Krishna prasadam.
But I think that also the other point, right, Maharaj? Even if they are upset, Krishna will protect. Like in case of Govardhan Leela, if the demigod, in this case Indra, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
So, but in this case, Krishna guarantees a protection, and he protected.
In the place where it's worshipping to Govardhan Hill, here and with our parents, they're worshipping with the sacrifices, animal sacrifices. They're so upright, they don't do it. The demigods will punish them.
Yeah, but there's a correct way and an incorrect. What was you going to say?
Krishna Maharaj, just on his question, in the Govardhan Leela, all the Brajavasis will be praying to the rain god and all those, right? And then Krishna says, You don't have to do that. And
Just offer it to me.
yeah, he says that, like, and then Indra still gets angry. So then the question is, if you just offer to Krishna and don't offer to demigod, is there a chance of them getting angry or not?
No, because if Krishna is pleased, and demigods will be pleased also. Yeah, everyone will be pleased. But see, there's nothing wrong with first offering the food to Krishna and then offering to your ancestors, offering to the demigods, and then offering to, people on the street. Now it's prasadam, so it's beneficial for everyone. So when it's actually prasadam, it's a supernatural substance. It's no longer a mundane thing. So everyone who partakes of it becomes benefited. So the demigods are just as interested in getting prasadam as you are. So we should not deny them that possibility. But first, it should be offered to Krishna. Then you can offer to the demigods. Now, and the demigods will be happy. But if you just offer the food to the demigods and avoid Krishna, then nobody's going to be happy. Yeah.
Maharaj, about the Sai Baba question.
Yeah.
If someone offers it to a demigod, right, like to Shiva or Ganesha, or they do some puja, they give it to us. At that time, can you say Hare Krishna and eat it, or you should not eat?
Okay, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I know people that when food has been offered to the demigods, they won't touch it. I encountered that when I was in Vrindavan. This one devotee said, "Don't eat that. It's offer to the demigods. Throw it away." I still did eat it, but he wanted me to throw it away. Okay, so this is a good question. If people are not actually offering it to Krishna, but just only offering it to the demigods, we should not partake of that. Right? But if they offer first to Krishna and then offer to the demigods, then we can take it. Yeah.
In our village, Maharaj, there was a culture. They are very clear. If they offer some food to certain demigod, they won't take it. It's very clear.
Yeah.
Like in our village, we know if the food is offered to Durga Devi, and then a lot of people don't come to eat that food, because if you eat that food and Durga Devi will come and repair in your house, they have to worshiping Durga Devi. So a lot of people are actually afraid of taking the prasadam that is offered to Durga Devi.
Yeah, I mean that's the correct thing,
It's same culture, but
Yeah, they may not have the full knowledge, but they
yeah,
Yeah, everything should be offered first to Krishna. And then you can offer it to the demigods, you can offer it to anybody.
Their family does animal sacrifice.
yes.
Their family does animal sacrifice for Grama Devas,
Yeah, Durga Devi.
for certain demigods.
That's an emote of ignorance.
So, yeah, in that case, there is no offering to Krishna at all, right? It will just an animal sacrifice. So they should first of all stop that sacrificing.
Well, look, killing animals is not a good idea, right? Because you're going to get very bad karma if you do that. You might call it, uh, what do you call it? Sacrificial. Yes, but it's not a good thing. We shouldn't engage in those type of activities. Right? One little mistake is devastating. One little mistake is devastating. So how do you know that, by killing an animal, you're doing the right thing? It's a mistake. It's a big mistake. We should never kill any animals.
Because out of fear, they feel content doing it.
Out of fear of what?
Out of fear,
Yeah.
they do this and they feel content. They feel contented. Or,
They feel satisfied
yes.
Yeah.
by killing the animal.
Yeah, but sacrifice.
It's a fear-based
Worship.
so basically, like some people say, oh, if you don't worship,
Yeah.
you're going to get the reactions.
But how can you say it's worship when you're killing an animal?
But that's how the Shastra has been interpreted by these people. That because it is there in Shastra, but it is there in a particular reason. But they interpret it as saying that, oh, if you don't do this,
Which Shastra are you talking about?
but this is like convoluted Shastra because it's been coming to your parampara, not parampara.
Okay, well, there are Shastras in mode of ignorance,
Correct.
and Shastras of passion, and Shastras in the mode of goodness.
Yeah, but that knowledge is not there. So in that system, it's only mode of goodness, mode of ignorance.
Yeah.
But they accept that as better than not doing.
Okay, I
Lot
understand.
of villages, Maharaj, in India, a
Yeah.
lot of villages.
Yeah.
So they have Grama Devatas. So there's Kali.
Mostly Durga Mata only, but different forms of Durga.
So deity is actually killing a demon kind of deity. So for those deities, they have traditions where they do these goat sacrifice, animal sacrifices during certain periods of time. So a lot of people there who are doing agriculture, farming, and other kinds of works, right? Sudras, they all do those sacrifices. Even this looks like even till date.
Well, that's not our culture, so we shouldn't do that.
No, we're not saying that. But I think this question is like, what
Should he tell them?
Is that? Yeah, I think you tried telling them.
Yeah, try and tell them. We know it's very clear that the fear is much more stronger than our preaching.
Fear of what?
Fear of not doing.
Fear of not doing.
Basically, it's fear of stop, something they were
But
traditionally.
that's what Krishna did. He stopped his father, right?
I think fear of not satisfying the demigods and facing the wrath.
It's huge.
Yeah.
No, okay. The easy way to get around it is first you offer to Krishna. Then you can offer Krishna prasadam to the demigods. Right?
Yeah, but here in this case, because it's meat, right? Animal sacrifice. So first they have to stop the animal sacrifice
Mhm.
and only do sattvic food,
The fruits.
then offer to Krishna. So for them, it requires a significant change in their understanding before they are able to stop
Right.
what they're doing. So that's where there.
That's why we preach. We want to change their mistakes. Yes.
Hare Krishna Maharaj, I have two questions. If a lion eats a deer for its food,
Yeah.
does the lion get bad
No.
karma, Maharaj?
No, not at all.
And if I pluck a flower, if
Yeah.
I'm still killing that flower, if I just put it in my hair, I get bad karma. But if I offer it to the Lord,
Yeah.
then I don't get bad.
Yeah, and you can, and afterwards you can put it in your
Afterwards,
hair.
yeah.
Yeah. Everything should be offered first to the Lord.
That's what most people here. Then you're also killing vegetable, taking fruit, all of
Flowers.
these like flowers. But I think that's where the science is.
No,
So
but
give it
Krishna
back.
says, offer me with love and devotion, a fruit, a flower, water, etc.
Then
Yeah. So you have to,
allowed, sanctioned.
yeah, certain things. I mean, otherwise, what everyone would die of hunger, right? You're not allowed to eat anything. That's, Krishna gives you certain things that you're allowed to eat and other things that you're not allowed to eat. People always try and find ways to put doubts in devotees' minds. The doubts are demons. And that's the way they control you. They put a doubt in your mind. Hare Krishna. Okay. Huh?
If you go by words, if somebody logically comes and says Patram Pushpam Phalam Toyam, he's actually cooking allowed by Krishna.
It's like actually what?
Cooking allowed.
Is
Should be
cooking.
only
but the patram pushpam,
Yeah.
should you offer it as is, or is it okay to cook and then offer?
and is cooking allowed at all because we can live on just fruits.
Like raw.
Yeah. Is it?
Well, you have to offer that also to Krishna. The raw food.
Yeah. Is there intent of that like that? Not cooking by your Vedic tradition.
If you only have to eat raw.
Yeah, something like yeah. As it, the cooking is something came up recently, or is there anything like that?
No, no, it's there from the beginning of time.
Radharani is cooking. So
Yeah.
if you follow the early man thing, their cooking is a recent thing. But from Vedic tradition, cooking has been there like forever.
Radharani cooks really nice food.
Apparently, she doesn't cook the same variety again.
Okay.
So
So there is a reference to cooking in the Shastras.
Yeah, of course. Of course.
Akasha.
Called prasadam.
Lord Chaitanya accepted.
What's that?
Lord Chaitanya also accepted, right?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, cook food, yeah. As long as it was prasadam, yeah.
love prasadam.
But he would only accept prasadam in the house of a devotee, not just, anybody.
The only who chanted 64 rounds with him.
Who?
Lord Chaitanya accepted Prasadam in the devotee's house who chanted
Minimum 60.
minimum 64 rounds.
At that time, 64 rounds was initiation, right?
Yeah.
Mother?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, Prabhupada,
Now we have
Yeah, I remember hearing that.
Prabhupada, changed it to minimum 16 rounds. You can chant 64 rounds a day if you want. No one's stopping you. But the minimum is 16 rounds. Why? That way you have time to, take care of your family things. You have time to go to work and come back and so forth. Otherwise, we'd all be, sort of engaged just in chanting all day long. You wouldn't be able to do other things. There are devotees that chant, no, they chant, 64 rounds every day. But they don't have, a lot of obligations. So you can chant as much as you want. There's no limit about how many rounds you chant a day. I mean, that means you chant the 16 rounds, but you can chant 600 rounds if you want. But you have to do 16 rounds for sure every day. If Prabhupada said, no, you have to chant 64 rounds because that's what Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur said, then it would disrupt your whole day. You wouldn't be able to do a lot of things. So 16 rounds was established by Prabhupada so that you can chant and also do all the other things that you have to do, in Krishna consciousness. Otherwise, every time you come, it's a privilege. Can you help in the? No, I have to finish my.
The congregation won't exist.
Yeah.
projects won't exist.
Yeah.
No, what'll happen is they'll hire non-devotees
To cook and
to cook and everything, and they have that even now. There are temples where in India where the cooks are non-devotees.
Oh.
Yeah,
Iska?
yeah. It's surprising.
Oh, really?
Because the sadhus don't have time to cook.
Wow.
They hire outside people to cook.
But then we accept that as prasadam.
I don't, but others do.
But how would we know that?
You go into the kitchen and see who's cooking. Ask him to show his, ID. Yeah.
Hmm.
There are a lot of temples in India where the cooks are non-devotees. I don't know a lot, but there are temples like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
You'd be surprised, because here we only let,
Brahman.
brahmanas cook, right? And you go to India and they're hiring professional guys to cook. It's like shocking. Haribol. And then they only offer the Mahaprasadam. The rest of the food is actually not actually offered.
Hmm.
Yeah. So you have to be careful. Careful in ISKCON.
So Recently, they announced this rail prasad. It's like a good initiative where, like, if you are traveling in train,
Yeah.
there are devotees from different cities that have made themselves available to prepare. They
Oh.
guarantee that they are initiated devotees with 16 rounds of
You don't eat the railroad food.
railroad food.
And the guys outside.
I mean, you may have to still coordinate, and I think this is just announced, so
Yeah.
there's still probably.
But I think it already is in place. I
So is
think
that-
it is in maybe large scale they have started.
Yeah, I think they just put a big directory of across the country.
My
So
parents
you can. Oh,
I think themselves, somebody else arranged it for them, but they were able to take.
Yeah, it was not a formal setting. Earlier through contacts, probably.
yeah,
were getting
probably,
it,
yeah.
But now they made it like a more
Ah.
formal
I
activity.
mean, on a bigger scale.
yeah,
Great.
good.
Is it for everyone in the whole train person?
No, no,
Oh.
you can let's say you're traveling from
It's on demand.
yeah,
Yeah,
to
you have to coordinate yourself.
Yeah.
Use the direct one.
use the directory and you figure out like okay at 8 o'clock I'll have prasadam. At 8 o'clock where will your train reach?
I see.
To that place if there is a devotee you will call that person ahead of time and say hey I'm traveling.
Oh.
Can you please bring prasadam for me? And they'll cook and bring it for you to the railway station and they'll give it to you. That way in the train you're not eating outside prasadam but just having
I
prasadam.
was thinking everyone in train getting prasad.
That's the ideal.
It's like in schools.
Yeah, but you'd put all the food wallahs out of business.
They can become devotees and they can.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
The railways has a kitchen. Every train has a kitchen.
Yeah.
Like a bogies kitchen where they cook meals.
In Bogi, they just bring the food.
Ah,
They
they
don't-
No, they actually have some kitchen also.
That's the Prabhupada conversation, right?
Yeah, yeah.
That when Mataji,
Mm.
she emptied the ass, she asked the cooks to go out and then she cooked for Prabhupada
In the
Ah.
train.
while in the train.
Yeah. So they have cooks and then they pack those food and then they
Yes,
they
they
sell
do
it.
have a kitchen car, I think they call it. Like one of the bogies is kitchen.
But if
Haribol.
those people are devotees, then everybody in the train gets.
I think that's where we have to infiltrate. It's like
Yeah.
that.
But usually the train food and the street food is not that good. It's-
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very greasy and it's not really good. I would never eat food in the street food. Yeah.
Very dangerous.
Okay, well,
Thank you.
saying we don't have any street food here. Seattle, Haribol, where's the Shila Prabhupada?
Yeah.
We have
Street
a,
food that we have is our food truck.
yeah, food truck. That's Transcendental Street.
The oil, there are factories where they get the palm oil
Yeah, yeah.
and they
Converted into
convert it to the peanut oil and
So
mustard
they
oil.
add some chemicals and they've been caught
and
recently.
that peanut oil and
You can't trust anything in India.
India quality of food is very, very substandard.
so imagine what those people must be what kind of oil they must be buying and how many times they burn.
No, but they do that in the temples also in India, in the ISKCON temples also.
If it is a larger scale.
Yeah.
Apparently it happened in Tirumala only. The ghee that they bought. So it can happen anywhere.
uh,
Okay.
We want only real prasad.